Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bundesliga Show, prediction show. We're here live on a Thursday evening for the first time ever. So hopefully, a few of you can join us along for the live rendition of this. But obviously, if you miss it, just watch back. We're back for Matchday 28 of the Bundesliga season. So me and Mark are going to be looking ahead and doing a few predictions as always, and making fools of ourselves. Just looking back from last week, obviously me and Mark have got this ongoing, I wouldn't call it a feud. We've got an ongoing matchup going along this season, and the scores on the doors last week were 13 points to 7 to me, but Mark has actually clawed an important victory back from Matchday 27. So it's now 13-8 to me. So yeah, well done, Mark. You've kept your dreams alive for one more week. That's important for your morale.
It's going to be the great
but yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to look back at some of your guys' comments and predictions for the last few weeks. So I'll make sure I do that in the next, for the rest of the prediction shows, hopefully for the remainder of the season, and give people shout outs, because we've had lots of people commenting, which is really nice. Great community that we've got going at the moment. So yeah, if you don't get your predictions in whilst we're live, do it after the show. So yeah, without further delay, we'll kind of swiftly go into it. So Matchday 28 is actually spread over the course of 4 days. So we're back with Friday night football on the 9th of April, so this Friday coming. And the game is Arminia Bielefeld versus Sport Club Freiburg. So very important game for Bielefeld, especially. Certainly a game where they might think they've got a chance of picking up some points, or is definitely a chance where they need to pick up points. Freiburg still with a very, very outside chance of kind of getting European football, but I guess that was kind of doused down by their loss to the Gladbach last weekend. So I think it will be a game where Bielefeld can target points, and as a result, I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. So Bielefeld getting some kind of, well, at least some needed points. So Mark, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a massive opportunity, to be honest, for Bielefeld, because I think, as I mentioned last week, the fact that Bielefeld did manage to get that undeserved draw at Mainz, I think this gives them a chance. If they do win this game, they'd not only come out the bottom 2, but also out the bottom 3 as well. So it's a massive, massive opportunity. I do think Freiburg are a better side than Bielefeld, as is shown, but you have to question the motivation. We're getting to that time in the season now when some teams might start to be less motivated than others, and I think Freiburg could potentially be one of them in this game. And I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw as well. I've also gone for 1-1, just because I think Freiburg, they usually score in games, don't they? And I just think Bielefeld rarely score more than 1. So yeah, I've gone for 1-1, but I think this is a big opportunity. And I would say that really Bielefeld need to be trying to win this game, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And then straight on to the Saturday afternoon kickoffs. We've got a very tasty clash. As we mentioned in previous weeks, Wolfsburg's fixtures start to get a little bit tougher now. So it will be interesting to see how they get on with their kind of top 4 credentials as they travel away to Frankfurt, who are obviously also nestled inside the top 4. So promises much this game. I honestly don't know who needs to win it more, because Wolfsburg's running looks harder, but Frankfurt are obviously the side in the last kind of top 4 spot. But I mean, either side would probably take a draw, given the fact that Dortmund is still well within a sniff of their Champions League tie with Man City. Will they potentially drop more points this weekend? Will they, shuffle around the pack and as a result maybe drop some points, and therefore a draw I think would be a fine result for both? So I'm actually going to say 2-2 draw.
Yeah, I think you've gone for more goals than what I predicted in this one. I agree. This is a massive game, even though both teams are sitting pretty, with Wolfsburg 11 points clear of Dortmund and Frankfurt 7 after their win over them last week. I don't think there's going to be many goals in this game, because I think it is a game that probably both sides would be happy with a draw. I think probably Frankfurt need the win a little bit more, despite the fact that Wolfsburg have some hard fixtures, simply because if they lose, then Dortmund could cut the gap to 4 points again, you know. So, I mean, 4 points is all of a sudden back in touching distance, really, in some ways. I've actually gone for a 1-0 win for Frankfurt. I just think Frankfurt, they always score, don't they? I mean, they very, very rarely get shut out by anybody. And I think they've probably got a little bit more goal threat than Wolfsburg, although Wolfsburg have been scoring goals as well. I just think Wolfsburg, I wasn't very impressed with them against Cologne last week, to be honest. And I just think they might possibly, they're due a bit of a dip in form, to be honest. And I've got a funny feeling that Frankfurt will get a 1-0 win here at home.
Very good. Interesting stuff. Moving on, we've got Hertha Berlin hosting Borussia Mönchengladbach. Gladbach now seemingly back in the race for top 6 from their last couple of outings and collected decent amount of points. And Hertha, of course, are well in this mix, this relegation mix. Just the way the momentum is actually built for Gladbach. I know Hertha have had some good results themselves. Smashing Leverkusen, drawing the Berlin derby, of course. So it will be a close game, actually. I think this will be a good one with both teams a bit more. I've got a bit more confidence going through both squads. But I'm going to back Gladbach for an away win to really boost their chances of the top 6. I'm saying 2-1.
Yeah, I think, again, this is still quite a big game. There's still quite a lot riding on this game, despite Hertha Berlin seeming now as though they probably will beat the drop, given the recent form, but still they're only 1 defeat away from another bad run, knowing how their season's gone. As for Gladbach, they're only 1 win away from rebuilding their top 6 hopes, as you say. I mean, they've won the last 2. I think they played well in those 2 games as well, all said and done. So, but yeah, I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw here because I still think it's a slightly bigger game for Hertha Berlin, obviously fighting for their lives. I mean, Gladbach, they probably shouldn't lose this game, but yeah, I've gone for 1-1 in this tie.
Yeah, very good. The next game, we've got the champions Bayern hosting Union Berlin. Obviously, this is an interesting game, really, for me to see the reaction of Bayern to their midweek loss to PSG. It's an interesting one to see which way they go. Do they go all guns blazing into this and take all their anger and frustration out on poor Union, or do they rest a few players, obviously, in anticipation of that huge second leg? So depending on which way they go, it'll be an interesting one. And as a result, I've gone for a 3-1 home win, although, I mean, I'm very tempted to change it now, having talked myself out of it, but I'll stick with it. I'll say 3-1 to Bayern, but I think Union will give them a good game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think we will see pretty wholesale changes, I think, because obviously 7 points clear now, Bayern. They don't have the worst running in the world, although they do have Wolfsburg the week after this, so that will be in the back of the mind as well. But for me, all attentions will be firmly on the trip to Paris on Tuesday night. For me, that's where the real big game lies for them in this coming few days. I definitely think we'll see some rested players. We won't see the likes of Goretzka, obviously Lewandowski. We won't see Gnabry because he's got COVID. So I wouldn't be surprised to see even Müller and potentially even Kimmich rested in this game, to be honest. I would go that far. We'll probably see some of the more fringe players come into the side. So, yeah, but I've still gone for a 3-1 win. I know I'm a big fan of Union Berlin. I rate Union Berlin, but I just think Bayern, when it comes to this stage of the season, they're just a machine, aren't they? And I can see Union creating chances, but I can just see Bayern being clinical and finishing their chances in a 3-1 home win. Yeah,
it looks like we're in agreement there on that score. Moving on, Werder Bremen hosting RB Leipzig. So Werder obviously are playing a lot better football than they have been all season, really, in the last maybe 3 to 4 games. Look a lot more confident. And have also kind of shot themselves in the foot with a couple of own goals in the last few weeks, actually, which have kind of taken points off themselves, really. So I think they'll give RB a good game. Leipzig obviously need to win to keep any slim hopes of the title race or of a title. So narrow and game of small margins, I predict a 2-1 away win to RB Leipzig.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an interesting match because, I mean, this probably is, I think this is, in my opinion, the last kind of effort, the last chance for Leipzig to salvage something out of this season. I think it's going to be a difficult game because for me, Werder are probably playing the most consistent football that they've done all season, actually. I mean, it's not been a vintage season from Werder, but it's been a massive improvement on last season, which was a disaster, which we've said a lot. But yeah, I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw in this game. I just think Leipzig, I'm just not that hopeful for them at the minute. I don't know. They'll be they'll be gutted after last week, to be honest, because they shouldn't have lost that game. And Werder away, even without fans, it's never going to be an easy game. We've seen them, they drew with Bayern away from home, so they can play against these better teams in the league. So yeah, for me, I've gone for a 1-1 draw here between Werder Bremen and RB Leipzig.
Very interesting. Moving on to our late game on Saturday, we've got VfB Stuttgart hosting Borussia Dortmund. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in the show, it will be interesting to see how Dortmund approach this game, with their tie against Man City still being very much in the open, and pretty harshly done by a horrific refereeing decision. But of course, we'll talk about that in our European show at a later date. So yeah, I do expect Dortmund to maybe chop and change a little bit as you expected. I think as we've seen, Dortmund, not only are they poor away on the road, but they don't have a huge amount of squad depth to them. So this is the first real shock that I'm predicting this match week. So I'm saying 2-1 to Stuttgart.
Yeah, it seems as though great minds think alike on some things, Rory. Because I mean, we've seen all the way through the European campaign this season, and we've seen German teams rotate to the high heavens before European games. But for me, in this case, I mean, Dortmund have got to be thinking, Man City, they weren't great in the game on Tuesday night it was. Yeah, they weren't great at all. And it still seems to me as though Man City, they don't play the best football in European games. And there's a lot of pressure in them for this in this match on Wednesday night. It'll be the second leg. Yeah. And I think, Dortmund definitely have a chance. I mean, if they can fire Haaland up, he played well. He had the better of Diaz, didn't he? One of the few strikers who has had the better of him this season. And I definitely think there's reason to believe that Dortmund can make the semi-final. But as a result, I don't expect to see a very strong team out in Baden-Württemberg in Stuttgart on Saturday afternoon. And I've also gone for a 2-1 win for Stuttgart because I think, obviously, we saw them win 5-1 at the Westfalenstadion in, I think it was November now, which was the last game for Lucien Favre. And I'm going to go for a famous double for Stuttgart over the BVB.
Interesting stuff. So moving on to Sunday, we have two games. The first of which is Schalke at home to Augsburg. Probably one of the few games that has much riding on it this weekend. I think Schalke will be buoyed by the fact that they had Huntelaar in the team last weekend and managed to get a goal. So maybe he'll add a bit of a threat to the Augsburg defence. But I think they've got enough about them. They've got some nice kind of interactions and players going at the moment. Augsburg with Vargas playing particularly well. So I'm saying a 3-1 away win.
Yeah, I mean, Augsburg can just go out and enjoy this game, to be honest. They got that big win against Hoffenheim, which for me, that took them to 32 points. I don't see them going down, even if they lose every game, to be honest, from now to the end of the season. Maybe another 1 or 2 points is all they need, but they can go out and enjoy this game for me. And as a result, I can't see anything other than an away win, to be honest, because I think we'll see Augsburg maybe attack a little bit more. And we know what happens when teams attack against Schalke. Schalke just ship goals left, right, and centre. I agree that Huntelaar could potentially be more of a danger, but we've seen that Augsburg are good defensively. They are strong defensively. I've actually gone for a 1-0 win for Augsburg, but I can see there being quite a lot of chances for both sides in this game.
Very good. The 5 o'clock UK time game that is on the Sunday is more of a relegation 6-pointer. We're probably going to have lots of these every match day week as the relegation battle stays quite tight. So it's FC Cologne hosting Mainz. Again, a very interesting game. Mainz, I think, have certainly got the ability to go at this game and really attack Cologne. Not really seen enough from the home side for me in the last month or so. Thrown about some interesting results, but ultimately have obviously been more or less in the relegation battle for most of the season, and it's looking a bit more tetchy for them. And I think Mainz will look at this and really go at them. And I mean, if they can get a win, or even, well, I mean, a win would be huge, obviously, because then it would increase the gap from them to Cologne to 5 points, which is starting to look a lot more decisive in that relegation playoff place. So I'm gonna say 2-1 to Mainz.
Yeah, again, this is an absolutely huge game. This is the second massive 6-pointer that Mainz have had in 2 weeks. I mean, last week they should have won comfortably against Bielefeld. Obviously, they slipped to a 1-1 draw, which was a bit disappointing from their point of view. This week, I think the problem with Mainz is that we've seen them do better away from home against some better teams. You know, they have taken a lot of good away wins this season, and also a couple of decent home wins as well, namely Leipzig sticks in mind. But we haven't seen them win enough of these 6-pointer games. I mean, they've got a really poor record against the bottom teams. But at the same time, they don't lose many of these kind of games, and they tend to draw most of them. So I've actually gone for a 1-1 draw here, because I just think, as you say, I don't see enough in Cologne to think they can win this game, to be honest. But at the same time, I think Mainz, they do miss a lot of chances. That's still a problem for them. And I think they need to be a bit more clinical at times. I'm going to go for 1-1 in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw, to be honest. At least it will keep the relegation race nice and tight. There is, of course, one more game, which is actually a Monday night game. So, yeah, the Matchday weekend is nicely spread out, although it does mean that we'll probably not be able to cover this game on our usual show, which we record on a Sunday evening. So it's Hoffenheim hosting Bayer Leverkusen. So Leverkusen, of course, still trying to get themselves top 6 against Hoffenheim. Very erratic Hoffenheim in terms of their performances sometimes. So for me, safe bet is a 1-1 draw, even under new kind of management or interim management Leverkusen. I think they might drop points here. So yeah, 1-1 for me.
Yeah, I actually think this could be a goal fest, to be honest. It's two attacking teams, and both sides, despite not having had the best of seasons really by their high standards, they still have tons of goals in them, and both teams have still scored a lot of goals this season, really, if you look at the table. And I think, yeah, for me, both teams' season is effectively over. Even though Leverkusen can get Europa League, that wasn't their goal at the end of the day, Europa League, and that would be very much a consolation prize for them. I think in terms of, it's very much a case of rebuilding for them, trying to get a bit of form to go into next season. I actually see this being high scoring, so I've actually gone for a 3-2 win for Hoffenheim, because I just think both teams will let their hair down, you know, and just say, let's go and score a few goals. And we'll probably see a few defensive mistakes like we have done all season from these two teams as well. So, yeah, I do see this being an entertaining Monday night game, even if there's not that much lying on it, really.
Good stuff. Well, that brings a close, obviously, to Matchday 28 predictions. Obviously, please do keep getting involved, and obviously make sure that you pop in your predictions in the comment section on the YouTube channel. And looking ahead, obviously we've got our show on Sunday where we hope to have a guest again. So obviously keep your eyes peeled for that. If you missed out on anything, especially our collaboration video that we did recently with the two Bundesliga podcasts with Matthew and Ava, go check it out on the YouTube channel, so you can have a look at that. Really interesting chat actually that we had with Matthew and Ava. So that's great. Hope to have them both back on the show in due course. But yeah, so that's that. So over to Mark to finish up.
Absolutely. So as usual, remember to check out the Twitter, obviously at @OverTheBarFB, where you can see anything Bundesliga show related. Also, guys, remember a special announcement tonight. The League One show will go live in about 40 minutes from now, actually, guys. So remember to check that out. We've got another guest on there this week. So yeah, they've started to have a lot of guests as well, which is fantastic. Check them out. I know some of you guys that have commented on tonight's show are also regulars on the League One show as well. So continue to interact with us as much as possible. Yeah, and then, also obviously our main blog, which is otbfootball.net, which has everything, all of our articles on there as well. So remember to check out what's going on. And it's been our first live prediction show. We do plan on doing this, making this a permanent feature, as I put on the tagline just before. We will be doing this as a regular feature from now on until the end of the season. It's good to see a few people checked in as well. We hope to get the numbers to grow and grow. So let your friends know if to watch it as well. Anyone who likes Bundesliga or football in general, or anyone who you want to kind of get involved with the Bundesliga, make sure they check in. So we'll be back again next Thursday at the same time for that. So yeah, we hope you've enjoyed our first live prediction show, and we will see you again on Monday for the review of week 28 of Bundesliga action. Thanks a lot, guys.
Here's all.